Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 31 of Season 6 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Sony Challenge here at Denver Motorsports Park, the Roval Edition. Yes, we are running the Road Oval Road Course here at Denver Motorsports Park. Just a little while back, we ran the traditional version of Denver here that ended up in a great finish. Now that we're running the Roval, we'll see how things play out. But before we take a look at the starting lineup, let's take a look at the top 10 in points. Coming into this race, Jessica Shelton leads by 9 points over Benjamin Miles, and then third is Jake Baskinger, fourth Rob Evans, fifth Anthony McCrory, sixth Caleb Kilburn, seventh Cole Deaver, eighth DJ Curtis, ninth Dylan Poteet, and then 10th James McLeod. 82 points separate the top 10, but it's still pretty much a tale of two halves. The top 5 are about half a race in between one another, and then from 6th through 10th it's close to 2 races, but still some time remaining for some of those guys in the top 10 to try to make a stride to get this championship. But let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row, we have Jake Baskinger and Charles Sanford. Top 10, James Qualls is on the pole for today, and starting next to him is Jessica Shelton. Row 2 is Jay Jefferson and Benjamin Miles. Row 3, DJ Curtis, Chris Dollerton. Row 4, Dylan Jacobs, Matt McIntyre. And then row 5, Melissa Alexander and Cole Deaver. Let's get the command to fire engines for the Sony Challenge at the Denver Roval.
Drivers, start your engines.
All 40 drivers getting ready to come to the start-finish line to get this race underway, as this is going to be fun because the last time we ran the Roval here, there was actually some competition during this race, but we'll see what happens this time around. And boogity, 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 ladies and gentlemen, it is time to go racing. Well, James Qualls soundly led the first lap here at the Denver Roval, but leads by 3/4 of a second over Jessica Shelton, at least for the time being. So currently it's a 1-2 for Retro Racing Enterprises. And as you can see, the field is pretty much spread out as a result of everything. But keep in mind, as I forgot to mention from the offset of this race, that pit strategy is going to be key in this race. The wear is at ×4, and it's 10 laps, so I feel like in between laps 4 and 6 will be when we see pit stops here at the Denver Roval. Jessica Shelton trying to figure out what is that she's going to have to do to get a run on the 70 of Qualls and see if maybe Qualls makes a mistake in a corner and Shelton capitalizes on it, or what else could happen. Meanwhile, now in third, Jay Jefferson, who this season, he just wants to get this season done and over with. Even though he's won a race, 34th in points, he's just been marred in the back in the point standings most of the season. So he's definitely one of the very many drivers that has had such a bad luck season that just wants to end this already. DJ Curtis, on the other hand, who's currently running in the 4th position, the number's sake, has had a pretty darn good season. Currently 8th in the standings, picked up a win recently. I can't remember where specifically, but DJ Curtis has had a really fantastic season here in Season 6. And then behind him, in 5th, continuing a big streak of good finishes, Benjamin Miles, who comes in this race 2nd in points, 9 points out of the points lead, but he would actually lose points because he's currently running 3 spots behind Jessica Shelton right now. So unless the pit strategy can really help his case, I don't know what Benjamin Miles is going to have to do to try and surpass Jessica Shelton on the track in order to close in on the points lead. Currently in the 6th position is Chris Dollerton, who moved up to 11th in points after a pretty darn good finish at Bermuda this past Friday. Still looking for that first win of the season. Same goes for the driver in the 7th position, Dylan Jacobs, who surprisingly has had such a bad luck season here in Season 6. 33rd in points, and he was last season's champion, and he's just been trying to get that first win in Season 6, and he could very well. His streak of winning at least once per season since Season 2 might come to an end here in Season 6, unless here in these final 5 races after today, or if he can manage to win here today, his streak might end. Right behind him is the highest running rookie on the track right now, I believe, Melissa Alexander, in the 8th position, who's had a decent rookie season, 18th in points, picked up a win on a road course earlier this season, dominated Sonoma. And she's just been kind of back and forth between like the top 20 and top 40 in points. Currently 18th heading into this race today, as she's looking to try and finish the season on a high note, as cars are already in the pit road. So it actually looks like every 2 to 3 laps, cars are going to have to come into pit road. And is everybody coming in all at once? Nope, Jonathan, Zorline, and somebody else stayed out. Trying to find out who stayed out with Zorline up there. Trent Dunham and Zachary Fitzwater. So actually Zachary Fitzwater currently in the race lead, Trent Dunham in 2nd, and then Jonathan Zorline in 3rd. And according to this battle off pit road, looks like Qualls gets out ahead over Shelton. Not really too much change from the top 10, except Benjamin Miles actually lost spots on pit road. He fell from 5th, and I think he might have fallen back to 11th, possibly, out of these cars. No, 10th. So he actually lost 5 spots on pit road. As we get back to the race leader currently, Zachary Fitzwater, and if he can somehow pull this off, he could cycle around as the race leader if, and only if, he just decides to go with fuel only. Because I don't think that even with going with 4 tires and gas, he would be able to keep the race lead. Meanwhile, we might see a battle for second before the pit stops between Jonathan Zorleen in third and Trent Dunham in second. But as Zachary Fitzwater gets back onto the oval portion of the racetrack, same with Trent and Zorleen, let's watch and see if they're going to come into pit road or if they're going to try and stay out and make it a one-stop race. Let's watch the 12, and nope, he's coming into the pits. Let's watch Trent Dunham and Jonathan Zorleen. Are they going to come in together, or are they going to stay out? Nope, they're coming in. So, yeah, for Fitzwater, Dunham, and Zorleen, they are going to have to pit on around lap 8 going into lap 9, while everyone else will have to pit on lap 7 going into lap 8. So, yeah, it will still be a 2-stop race for all these drivers. What in the world happened to Qualls? He just lost a few spots, handing the lead possibly over to Jessica Sheldon. Let's go to see if we can find Fitzwater. No, he won't cycle around as the race leader, even after pit stops. So Jessica Sheldon actually now is going to be the race leader. Something happened to James Qualls that he lost the possible race lead. Maybe, I don't know. But the field as it's going to stand when they cross the line, Jessica Sheldon will be your race leader. Second, Jay Jefferson. Third, DJ Curtis. Fourth, James Qualls. Fifth, Chris Dollarton. Sixth, Dylan Jacobs. Seventh, Melissa Alexander. Eighth, Matt McIntyre. Ninth, Zachary Fitzwater. 10th, Cole Deaver. 11th, Benjamin Miles. 12th, Anthony McCrory. 13th, Johnny Gardner. 14th, Joey Parkhill. 15th would be Phil Parker. 16th, Kyle Matthews. 17th, James McLeod. 18th, Seth Cole. 19th, Michael Norman. 20th, Dylan Young. 21st, Trent Dunham. 22nd, James Shelley. 23rd, Logan Bradley. 24th, Caleb Kilburn. 25th, Jordan Forbes. 26th, Jonathan Zorleen. 27th, Carson Gum. 28th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 29th, Cole Baker. 30th, Tim Fiegel. 31st, Dylan Poteet. 32nd, Joshua Sekuli. 33rd, Bradley Zorgdrager. 34th, Joshua Collard. And then 35th, Charles Sanford. And then currently the bottom 5 would be Cody Lamas, Rob Evans, Jake Rogers, Rafael Leduc, and Jake Baskinger. That's 2 out of the 5 drivers in the top 5 in points that are currently in the bottom 5. So not good for those guys in terms of trying to get to the points lead to try and get this championship. Meanwhile, the points leader, Jessica Shelton, leads the way, but by how much? Let's see. As she officially led at the line, 4.5 seconds over new second place driver DJ Curtis. Qualls has managed to get around Jay Jefferson. Wait, where is Jay Jefferson? Oh, we got more cars coming in the pits. Some people trying to pit a little sooner. So probably about half of the field elected to come into the pits this time. Actually, maybe not even half the field. Maybe just some came into the pits. So that would explain where in the world Jay Jefferson went to. In fact, there he is just now coming out of the pits. As the field is so scattered, it's hard to keep track of what's going on. But back up at the front, Jessica Shelton leads. Now, could she try and stay out an extra lap to conserve a little bit? Because if not, she may have to pit one more time. In fact, most of the field might have to still pit one more time even after this round of pit stops. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out with pit strategy here in the coming moments of the race. But Shelton, as I was trying to say, Jessica Shelton has been by far the best driver in most statistics. As I take a look at her stats, tied for the most wins this season with 3, tied with James McLeod and Caleb Kilburn. 9 top 5 finishes, most of anybody, and tied for the most top 10s at 13 with Rob Evans. Third best average finish of 16.93, second being Benjamin Miles at 16.73, and Rob Evans at first with 16.67. And she's now into the pits, so yes, these guys might end up having to pit one more time, perhaps on the white flag lap. I don't know. It's going to be close for a lot of these guys in terms of fuel. But Zachary Fitzwater stays out another lap and is going to be the leader at the line whenever he crosses it. Trent Dunham staying out as well. Zorleen is also staying out. So you had the same 3 that stayed out after the pit stops from early on are still out on the racetrack. Those guys could be in the catbird seat to get top 3 finishes, depending on if Shelton and them have to pit one more time. As I'm looking to see who's coming out of the pits here, and looks like Matt McIntyre barely, well maybe not, Dylan Jacobs and Matt McIntyre got into each other coming off of pit road. Look at Joey Parkhill gaining quite a few spots, running now behind his wife, Melissa Alexander, and then Cole Deaver up in there. Although, you remember, there are those cars that pitted early. Benjamin Miles being the first of the group. He's going to be able to pass a couple of cars to get some positions. I don't know, could Jay Jefferson actually be the race leader now once they get around Fitzwater? I think he might, because he's ahead of Shelton, not lapped, so perhaps once Fitzwater, Dunham, and Zorleen pit and they don't cycle around up front, Jay Jefferson could have the race lead, but Jessica Shelton's not too far behind, so it ain't quite over for Shelton. Then again, remember about that fuel meter, if whether or not they're going to make it on fuel for the rest of the races. Here comes Fitzwater into the pits, and when he crosses the line, it will be 3 laps to go. Let's see about Trent and Zorleen. Trent comes in, and Zorleen comes in. As here comes Jefferson and Shelton through the front stretch, as Fitzwater got to lead that lap, but will not hold on to the lead, as here comes Jefferson. And Shelton as they easily bypass Fitzwater. So now Jay Jefferson is the race leader. Second, Jessica Shelton. Third, DJ Curtis. Fourth will now be Chris Dollarton. Fifth, Zachary Fitzwater. Sixth would be James Qualls. Seventh, Melissa Alexander. Eighth, Dylan Jacobs. Ninth, Matt McIntyre. 10th, Joey Parkhill. 11th would now be Johnny Gardner. 12th, Benjamin Miles. 13th, Cole Deaver. 14th, Phil Parker. 15th, Kyle Matthews. As I'm waiting for Dunham and Zorleen to get on track and see about positions here. I believe... what did I say? Let's go back up to the front to make sure. And Jessica Shelton actually got by Jay Jefferson for the race lead. So now Shelton leads, then Jefferson. Curtis, Dollarton, Qualls the top 5. Fitzwater, Melissa, Jacobs, McIntyre, and Gardner the top 10. Then 11th, Joey Parkhill. 12th, Benjamin Miles. 13th, Cole Deaver. 14th, Phil Parker. 15th, Kyle Matthews. 16th, Trent Dunham. 17th, Seth Cole. 18th, Michael Norman. 19th, Anthony McCrory. 20th, James McLeod. 21st, Jonathan Zorleen. 22nd, Caleb Kilburn. 23rd, James Shelley. 24th would be Dylan Young. 25th, Jordan Forbes. 26th, Tim Fiegel. 27th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 28th, Dylan Potee. 29th, Joshua Sekuli. 30th, Logan Bradley. 31st, Bradley Zorgdrager. 32nd, Cody Lamas. 33rd, Charles Sanford. 34th, Jake Rogers. And then 35th, Joshua Collard. And then the bottom 5 would be Carson Gum, Cole Baker, Rafael LeDuc, Jake Baskinger, and Rob Evans. 2 laps to go here at the Denver Roval for Jessica Sheldon, but does she have enough fuel to make it to the end? And I think Jay Jefferson and those who pitted early, yep, they are down into the pits now. So I don't know if Sheldon's going to be able to make it on gas. If she can cross the start-finish line to take the white flag and maintain herself on the racetrack, she might be good to go. But I'm not holding my breath. And even guys like DJ Curtis, who's trying to make the most of a potential bad situation, trying to hang on for dear life. Because, remember, that 12 car of Fitzwater is the guy in the catbird seat in terms of fuel, who's currently 5th. He would potentially win this race if the drivers ahead of him have to pit before the white flag. But Jessica Sheldon trying to go for her 4th win this season in hopes of trying to close out the season with a championship. But remember, after this season, the team of Retro Racing Enterprises will be no more. Instead, it's going to be called S3 Motorsports. And they're going to drop down to a 3-car operation. Apologies. Jessica Sheldon, Charles Sanford will remain on the team, but the mystery 3rd driver, Charles's brother, Henry Sanford, will be making his Marvel Studios Cup Series debut next season. But let's see about Sheldon. Is she coming into the pits? No, she's going to stay out. What about DJ? Staying out. Dollarton. No, he's coming into the pits. He's going to sacrifice a potential top 5 finish because he was afraid he didn't have enough gas, as the white flag is out for Jessica Sheldon. But does she have enough fuel? We're going to keep it on the miles per hour gauges up at the top middle of the screen. She's still got the engine running, so that's good. And because of all that, that actually shuffled the top 10 quite a good bit. As a result, as Dollarton gets out of the pits, but who else came in besides Dollarton? Rob Evans? No, he just came through. I think it was only Dollarton, which is shocking. Back up at the front to keep an eye on Sheldon. She's still running up to speed. I don't know, this is going to be a nail-biter for sure for these guys up here at the front who have not pitted yet. But if Sheldon can make it through off of the final corners, and she could just coast it on the way down to win this race. As we're getting ready to finish off the road course portion of the backstretch and then get to the actual backstretch here momentarily, let's see if Sheldon's going to be able to make it on gas. She's still running, the engine's still revving. And it's going to be close. I'm kind of getting a little bit nervous if she's going to be able to make it on gas. Perhaps now that we're coming through the final corners, she could maybe coast it on the rest of the way and she'll still have this. So nothing. Oh, but she comes into the pits. She came into the pits. Same with DJ, but I think she's still going to win despite all this as she's getting ready to come to the line. Qualls actually staying out, but it doesn't matter. Checkered flag. Oh no, she's short of her pit stall. Oh my goodness. She came up short in the pit stall. I don't even know who just won. According to scoring, James Qualls has won. That is a huge heartbreak for Jessica Sheldon. She was 1 stall short of the pits, or 1 stall short of the checkered flag. Oh my goodness, that has got to be one of the biggest heartbreaking moments of any driver in the history of this series. Oh my God. 1 stall short of the start-finish line. Oh my god. But James Qualls, smart move staying out on the racetrack and managed to get his first win of the season finally. But wow. That is going to go down as probably the most shocking finish of the season by far. Sheldon just one stall short of the finish line and nearly getting her fourth win of the season. But oh my goodness, I'm kind of speechless right now. What in the world? Wow. But congrats to James Qualls nonetheless, but just holy cow, I can't believe that happened. But let's look at the rest of the results. Zachary Fitzwater, despite the strategy not really working out in his favor, still gets a great run in the second position. Highest finishing rookie Melissa Alexander with her third top 5 finish in third. And I guess Jessica Sheldon's still going to be credited with a fourth place run, but man, that should have been a win had it not been for her stall being one away from the finish line. But still gets a great points day in fourth, and then DJ Curtis rounding out the top 5 in fifth. Dylan Jacobs with a great run in the sixth position. Matt McIntyre with a solid run in the seventh spot, and James Qualls, I think, has just ran out of fuel, so he was one lap to the good. Same with a lot of other drivers. But anyways, to get back to what I was talking about, Johnny Gardner with a great run in the 8th position, and we haven't seen him get this many good runs. And oh, we got a random barrel roll for Matt McIntyre as he hit the end of the pit wall and just barrel rolled. That was really bizarre. Cole Deaver finishes strong in 9th, and then Joey Parkhill rounding out the top 10. Rest of the top 20, in fact. Then your top 30. And then the bottom 5, there was actually a crash, I guess, that happened between Jake Baskinger and James Shelley as they were out. But the bottom 5, in the end, were Michael Norman, Cody Lamas, Jake Rogers, Tim Fiegel, and James Shelley. But man, what a bizarre finish here at the Denver Roval. James Qualls just pulled one off by a hair and manages to get his first win of the season finally, but at what cost? That's all I have to say. But anyways, thank you for watching the Denver Roval, the Sony Challenge. Oh man. Next time we head back to Atlanta for the Pep Boy Auto Parts 500, I believe. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Atlanta. And this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.